Hey, this is Nolan North, the voice of, well, everyone. And you're watching Connected Digital World. Don't turn it off. Ever.
So hi, would you like to introduce yourself to those who don't recognise you?
My name is Nolan North. I'm here at E3.
So people probably don't recognise your face, but would certainly recognise your voice. So would you like to tell us some of the things you've done recently?
Well, there's probably most recognized for this little game called Uncharted.
I've heard of it.
As Nathan Drake. Desmond Miles in Assassin's Creed. Dr. Edward Richthofen in the Call of Duty Zombie series. Deadpool in the Deadpool series. Buy it or I'll kill you.
All kinds of. There's Segment that was in Ratchet and Clank. There's a number of different ones. I'm certainly forgetting a few.
Who else? I don't know. There's so many voices in my head. It scares me. It scares my children. And it just makes me it's very, very difficult. So I'm sure, send in your comments and let me know who else I play, because I've forgotten.
So who was your favourite character?
I have an affinity for Nathan Drake because it was one of the few characters I've ever had that they allowed me to be pretty much me, the treasure hunter. Amy Hennig, I've said this before, writes a brilliant script, but when you have such a great script, then she allows for collaboration and ad-libbing and making it more of your own. So, people who have played the game that really know me well know that at its full performance capture, he moves like me, and he, doesn't quite climb like me. I don't have that, orangutan-like upper body strength, but I'm working at it at a rock climbing gym. A friend of mine, Jen Hale, quite a rock climber, and she's going to show me how it's done. But I do have an affinity for him because it's very, very rewarding to have somebody to create a character so much like yourself that's so beloved by so many people. It's one of those things that you never think as an actor you'll ever get the opportunity to play, and I have. So I'm very, very fortunate. I'm very happy about it.
Is it strange hearing yourself in a video game?
Do you know, I don't play games that much because I'm just bad at it. I love them, but I'm also very addicted to personality. That I think I got into a Call of Duty 2 where you're fighting in basically D-Day, and I'm a history buff, and and I'm running through there, and now it was just amazing, and I didn't blink for about 14 hours, and it came really close to wetting my pants. So my wife said, no more of that. My kids now are old enough where they have played Uncharted, and yes, the answer is yes, resounding yes. Walking through my house, hearing my voice yelling and firing guns, and until the 10-year-old gets better, dying a lot, it gets a little disconcerting. Just to hear yourself falling off a cliff, literally walking down with taking things to the laundry room. And,
If that's not
Richard McGonigal is suddenly going, "No, kid!" You're like, ugh. So the kids often get punished if they kill daddy too much in one day.
Okay, good to know.
Good to know.
So what got you into voice acting in the first place?
Yeah, I was an actor. Voice acting is just an extension of acting. I say this all the time. It doesn't matter if it's a camera or if it's a microphone or if it's a live theater. I mean, acting is acting. And I was just doing my thing, and my agents called about. Oftentimes actors will do commercial work, and then they'll do commercial radio work, and just part of that through our voiceover agents was gaming started coming up, and I think one of the first ones I did through my agency was Maximo in the Army of Zin, and I played the Baron, and I was very excited about that because they also sent me an action figure of myself, which I still have, and it's my first action figure. But I think ultimately people like to work with friends and people they enjoy and who can get the job done, but you have a good time. And I've always kind of taken it as my personal responsibility to make sure everybody in the booth, everybody, the engineers and the producers, directors, whatever, we have a good time. We're making games. So have fun, be on time, get the job done well, and early so people can go home or go to lunch early. And so the old adage, work begets work, and it just sort of started tumbling upon itself. And I got lucky. I was one of those guys who just kind of was doing it for a bunch of different companies, and then gaming really started relying more and more on the voice acting, and I just was there. I think it's kind of like being one of those lucky guys who said, did you hear about this thing called Google? I'm going to throw 10 grand at it and see what happens. And now they have a couple helicopters. I don't have the helicopters, but I was kind of, I'm proud to say I was sort of at the beginning of when it really became important, when voices became important, and it wasn't just, and gamers just became more savvy. Gamers are smarter. They want a better product. They want a better experience. And, fortunately, actors like myself, Jen Hale, Steve Bloom, Fred Tatasciore, Troy Baker now. A bunch of these people came along and helped make it, the experience that it is today.
How do you come up with the voices for the characters, or is it literally you just, Well,
they'll give you, the different companies will give you specs on what they're looking for, if it's an accent, from what country or region. The thing that helps me the most is when they send pictures. I don't know why. I guess it's just from, growing up watching cartoons, that kind of thing. I like to see a picture. If he's kind of big, he's bulky, is he, sometimes he has an underbite or an overbite. It kind of will affect what you want to vocally put on it. And then, let's say he's a big, huge character,
and you make them really, really small.
You can go to the opposite, and you can play around with it on your own. And ultimately, lately, I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old who I'll walk in and go, "What does this guy sound like?" And I'll start auditioning for my kids, and they're like, "I like that one." And and there's a great voiceover artist named Gray Delisle. He's a friend of mine who's done everything. Look her up; she's a genius. And she once told me, whenever she sends in an audition, she'd give them the one that she'll look at the picture or whatever. She'll give them the take that she wants, and then she'll give them something drastically different, even if they don't ask for 2 takes. But then it basically is just a way of showing your range, because in voice acting, technically by contract they get 3 voices for one. Like with Nathan Drake, even on those games, I'll do a couple other characters. But in animation, cartoons, you get it's one rate for 3 voices. So if you're somebody who has a little bit more range, they're more apt to go with that person who can give them a little more for their money.
And last question, so I can let you go.
That's okay.
Deadpool is your newest game.
Yes.
What was that like for you?
Completely schizophrenic and an absolute blast. They approached it. I've done other iterations of Deadpool for Hulk vs. Wolverine, the movie, and then a Spider-Man game. I can't remember the other. I'm forgetting the other one. But and then there's new ones coming on, Marvel Heroes game, the big MMO that we did as Deadpool, and now this Deadpool game. But they approached it a little differently. They wanted him to have his main voice, but then have 2 little side characters, kind of like the angel and the devil that sit on the shoulder, but instead it's 2 little devils. One's the mature devil who might talk like this, and then the other one who just wants to talk about boobies. And then regular Deadpool who's right here, and there's a constant conversation going on between the 3 of them. And they thought, well, what we'll do is we'll record them at this voice A, this pass, and then B. And I thought, we'll get more. It'll just be more realistic if we just go back and forth through the voices. And it became I was probably an editor's nightmare, because you had to go back and maybe redo this and that. But at the end of the day, we went completely out of our minds, because that's what Deadpool is. He makes no apologies for anything. The violence, the things he says, he's irreverent, but it's fun. And the thing I like about the game is it makes no apologies for its over the top violence. But it's violence, it's almost cartoon-like violence because it's Three Stooges type violence, and it's humor, Austin Powers, type humor, like when the henchman gets his head bitten. Oh, he lost his head, didn't he? Like, well, you can't lose one's head now. He kept making these silly little quips. That's Deadpool, and then Deadpool will also break into other impressions. He breaks the fourth wall all the time. So as a player, you're just playing. He'll start yelling at you, or he'll be talking to you about something completely at random and off the wall. And it's just, I'm hoping it's a sleeper hit for High Moon. I just think it's refreshing. We have a lot of games that have darker matters, more cinematic fun. This is just put it in and start playing and laugh. I mean, I think this, it's a riot. It really is. I mean, it was really written well, and then we got to get zany with it. So I really, I'm excited about it. I hope it does well. My fingers crossed. I mean, please buy it and don't take it back and just keep it. And if you ever run into me, I'll sign it, which will make it completely worthless. But
Nolan, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So thanks to Nolan and his many voices for taking the time to talk to us at E3. Deadpool's out on the 28th of June, and why not subscribe to us by clicking on the button on screen now? And if you don't, Deadpool's coming for you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.